Okay.
So welcome to another installment of Exploring Consciousness with the Earth Nouveau group. You have me as your host today. I think the girls are they're busy doing other stuff. Laura said she might pop in, but we'll see what happens. And for those who know me not so well, I'm just going to put a little context and see where we're going to take this. Today's all about leadership, authenticity, and self-mastery and all of that. Now, my background is in self-mastery, in self-healing, and in sovereignty out of necessity. So what got me into all of that was I never really looked at it so much from a spirituality perspective. I never really followed any spiritual teachers. I just had to really go into self-healing, self-mastery, and sovereignty. And that's what I've been teaching. That's what I've been administrating, since 2005, actually. 2008, I got out of the corporate and made it my daily joy. Let's call it that. I wouldn't have called it self-healing, self-mastery. These are words that I'm using now because you're familiar with those as well. I called it at the time, I called it personal self-development. That was much more, a term that was acceptable. And also leadership. Leadership is not a privilege to the highly, affluent people or the holy people or anything like that. It is actually our birthright for every single one of us. And a true leader does not necessarily seek followers. A real leader works on the fulfillment, on the mastery, on the integration of their purpose, of their mission, of their joy, really, in this life. And that leads us then, if you think about it, everything is in relationship. We are in relationship with animals, with nature, with obviously our fellow humankind, and then with all the realms beyond the hologram that we are perceiving here. And that makes us, I don't want to use the word oneness, but that puts us into the soup of consciousness here, into the sea of consciousness, which means we are affecting each other in awareness or unawareness. And depending on the level of our leadership, internal leadership, external leadership, level of mastery, we are becoming the catalyst for other people to choose their joy, their purpose, their mission. So true leadership is never about trying to get people to follow you, but really leading by example, by being the best that you can be. And then true leadership goes into every different subject matter here. Leadership with consciousness, leadership in your career, with love, relationship, so many, leadership with nature. My favorite thing is facilitating. So by the way you're asking question, whatever energies are coming up in this direction, we will be taking this today. Okay? So this is the context. I've read many leadership books. There was a time where I worked with young professional tennis players. I did the mental training with them, and I based it on leadership, true self-mastery. This is what got me to read all these books. And this is the one thing I don't remember. I can't quote any of those. I can't even remember the authors. It's just not important to me personally. I can always look it up if anybody wants to know. Now, talking about true leadership as a result of that integrated and masterful living beyond the dissolution of time. So leadership doesn't just stop in this realm. Leadership includes all the different holograms that we are participating in awareness and unawareness. And the more aware we are of those, of course, the better we can be masterful leaders in this reality. Now, I just looked in my bookshelf, and there's one book. It's Leading Consciously by Debashish Chatterjee. He's an Indian fellow, and he calls it a pilgrimage towards self-mastery. And I just want to read a quote he's put in there, and he's using Tagore's words. Tagore is an Indian poet, an Indian philosopher. What is the highest expression of my pilgrimage towards leadership? So what he says there is, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward into every ever-widening thought and action. May these lines be your stepping stone as you undertake this pilgrimage towards self-mastery. The journey of many miles does indeed begin with one single step. So that's the context I'm setting for this Zoom today. And let's see what comes up when we talk about leadership. What is it that comes up for you? What is, the thing is, I'm not so interested in I will always bring up my experiences, obviously, but as a facilitator, I'm interested in what is it that you know? And also digging into that place of yourself that you didn't even know that you know. But if you've known, you would have already changed your lives. So I always want people to walk away when I facilitate. I want them to walk away and their world has changed on some level, just by the things that one of us says that they haven't considered possible yet. And what if we could all become those leaders for ourselves and others, in service, in compassion, with compassion, and at the same time, always keeping our cup full. Now my cup is very big, so I got a lot to do to keep that cup full. So choose smaller cups, it's okay too. So what does that bring up for you? What do you know about leadership? What does it mean to you?
To me, leadership is like the ability to inspire all those that are around you. Like I see a lot of leaders, or trying to find the word, but I think about it like manager versus a leader. Like corporate driven versus like someone that can inspire people to want to do things. I just want to say that.
Mm-hmm. Now, you see, this is what I love about all of that. You've already brought up manager versus leader, right? Which takes us into the corporate arena, but not necessarily. But I'll make a note of that. Let's just do a little bit of fact finding, whatever everyone else has, and then we can choose to talk about certain subjects. But manager versus leader is a big one, especially in the 21st century, right? This is very different. Even now in the last 5 years, it's very different than it was like when I was still in corporate. Yeah. What else, leader? What else is what else does leadership mean to you guys?
For me, so leadership I always saw as above me. Like they know more. I need to follow them. I was more of like a follower. Up until 10 years ago. But then when you said it, I'm like, but I'm the leader of my ship. Imagine this big ship. and I can do whatever I want in this ship. And then I started thinking about words that end in ship. Like I can bring on friendship, and I can bring on a relationship, and I can bring on companionship. And I'm thinking it differently now, but I always thought, even like being raised Catholic, you always had, God the leader. So I'm not that anymore. I left the church years ago, but so this is like a new way of thinking, self-mastery as a leader for my own self.
Mm-hmm.
So, and everybody is their own leader. See that as a big picture, and letting them be that by not stepping on their journey as a leader.
Now, I have to ask you a question, because you presented
Yeah.
it so beautiful. You seem to be the well, that's the question. We've got a lot of ships going on there, right? Companionship, friendship, leadership. When you look at your ship, I want you to look at your metaphorical ship right now and tell us, what kind of ship is it?
Well, I'd say
anyone
like,
sorry to interrupt. Anyone can think along those lines if you have ships too. I mean, it is leadership. So sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna say that mine's more like a boat, like a sailboat, where it just kind of, sailboats can go with the wind, and you can control it the way where you want it to be. And so it's not like ships are supposed, definite, but mine doesn't feel big. It just feels like a sailboat, and fast or slow, and you can guide it yourself.
As long as you got wind, right? As long as
you got wind. Yeah. And then, when there's not wind, just floating. That's the hermit, the sloth.
Cool. But let's play with that a little bit. I really like that. What other ships do we have here?
Well, I was thinking, as you were saying about the ship there, I was thinking of Star Trek Enterprise. And I was thinking of the Captain Picard, when he's a leader on the Enterprise. And so when they're in trouble of some sort, the people on his ship and would look up to him for leadership, to what direction they should take, whether they should, fall back or proceed forward, doing something. So it's someone you would look up to for guidance. And that's one way to look at a leader.
Right. Now,
someone
Lana,
who would earn respect.
Yeah.
And additional things as well.
Now,
what you were saying.
If you look at your Star Trek Enterprise, which one are you?
If Star Trek Enterprise.
Oh, whichever Star Trek ship.
Which character I would be? Which character I would be on the ship?
Would you be?
I'd probably be the first officer.
First officer. Okay.
So far.
Yeah. Okay. Just stay with that, because that's very interesting. Yeah. Okay, so we got a sailing boat that goes with the wind. If the wind goes, there's just floating. We got a Star Trek with the first officer. What other ships do we have? We're talking about leadership, Tanya. You've just come on, and we're looking at leadership from a self-mastery perspective, and at the same time, we've now just taking it into the metaphorical representation to actually dig deeper into what leadership means to us. It's a very different way of discussing leadership, but it's a very profound way of working. It's called metaphors of movement. Okay. So metaphorical representation. What other ships do we have? What ship comes to mind when we talk about leadership? What pops into your head?
When Amy was speaking about wind, I started feeling my solar plexus, and my ship is very much looking at the sun, my internal sun, and also my magnetism to the earth. as I sail.
So you got
And
a
I have
sailboat too, but it's an
so
internal one.
internal. Yeah.
And who are you on the sailboat? Are you alone on the sailboat, or you got other people there?
I have a co-pilot.
You have one co-pilot, yeah?
One, see. And sometimes we don't see things the same way.
One goes this way, the other one sails that way.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any more ships we've got here to play with that? And for all the people who have come up with their ship already and said something to that, just perceive what's happened in the body as you talk about it. And as we carry on talking about it, how the metaphorical representation already changes, right?
Mine already changed. Mine already changed as soon as soon as Caro said that. I actually saw who's on my ship. So it's me, but guess what? I can call in the big ship when I need it. I can call in, you know, the tugboat. I can call in the submarine, whatever. It felt like I just had, I'm by myself on my boat, but I just have all this kind of support and guidance when I need it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And Lana's enterprise can come above.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good.
So I was thinking here for a second, with all this being said. So I decided that I'm the first officer on my ship. I'm the support crew on that ship. However, with that said, the master itself or the leader itself is the universal source. And I'm being in the ship of the universe, and I'm the support crew. Right? I'm still the head of my leadership, and the universal source is really the whole ship and the main leader of the ship, and you can't go beyond that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, makes perfect sense. I can perceive everything. So of course what comes up because I'm coming with you into the ship now. I'm being there with you. Yeah. So now I want to know how how does the ship interact with the universe?
So let me think about that for a little bit here.
You think about that, yes.
Yeah.
And everybody else with their ships, is there a specific way of interaction between the ship, you, and all the support system? Because quite a few have support systems, and Caro has her co-pilot. Maybe by now already got more support as well. Just look at how, and how, I also want you to, as you're in that metaphor, yeah, how does that make you feel? How does it make you feel, that interaction with the ship, yourself, and the universe, whatever else you are interacting with? Do you feel in charge? Do you feel acknowledged? Do you feel you're spot on, knowing to do whenever there's something to do? Yeah. What is that? So that leads us back to probably what Alfredo said. Are you the manager or are you the leader? And just a very brief, whilst you're all thinking, I'll just keep talking here a little bit. The managers, obviously, there are good managers and there are bad managers. There are micromanagers. We all know the pain in the ass, right? But managers are usually the ones that go into more details. They're the ones that look at, okay, this is what we have to do, how we're going to get that done in more detailed sequences, whereas the leader is always on top thinking, what else is possible? What else can we create? The leader very often is the one that stays in the question. I'm not saying the manager doesn't stay in the question, but there are more constraints for the leader working with certain systems, working with the people and everything. So there's a slight little difference there.
I definitely think I go between both sometimes. I would say that I'm working towards being the leader of the ship and that. So yeah, I kind of still a little, it's a little scared on the boat a little bit, still a little,
And also maybe there's a look, think about it, that perspective, what is a true leader? A true leader is adaptable. A true leader works from the place of awareness, full awareness, what is required right now. And sometimes the leader has to be the follower, if that is required for the greater outcome, for the greater good of whatever they want to achieve, right? The water can get intense, yeah. And that's where everybody has to get the hands dirty. And the leader can be anything. What if the leader is that one that is completely flexible? It can be anything without a point of view.
I like the way you said that. That makes it a lot more, I'm feeling like, oh, calm. Okay. That sounds a little bit easier. I was making it too hard.
Yeah.
For myself.
Yeah. The what part of the leadership for me is to, whatever comes at me, work with the level of awareness. What is required right now? Instead of going, oh my God, we need to do this. This is the outcome. And most leaders, let's take them into the corporate world. They have budgets. They have, time. I don't even know what timelines, not timelines. What do you call it? What do you call the time?
Budgets, labor.
I can't even remember. It's been all this.
That's probably best.
But they have to, certain times they have to finish certain projects and stuff like that, Deadlines, thank you. Deadlines. But then again, sometimes as a true leader, you got to actually ask yourself, what is required right now? And is that deadline that we have set, or is that choice that I have made on a personal level now still working into my greatest, in my greatest good, in my favor? So a leader is continuously flexible, looking at what is required right now, working from a high level place of awareness, continuously staying in the question. Now, not from a curiosity perspective that we often hear, where we're mismatching other people because we're going into arenas that don't really work and resonate with our frequency, but from a place of awareness. Because as soon as we get into, I think, what did I just read? Alfredo said, intense waters, gets intense. We need to have a way of getting out of those waters, of maneuvering, of navigating out of it. And that's often by the question, what is required? Very simple, what is required right now? Because the question will always create more awareness. And the awareness will create more possibilities that you haven't seen, perceived, received before, because you were stuck in a certain thought process, in a certain, this has to be that way because this is how we have budgeted it. And then from that place of possibility, you can make choices. And those choices become true contributions. So that is one of the things I've learned in Access again. Question, possibility, choice, contribution. And I've been looking many, many years now for anything that describes a leader in a better way, and I haven't really found it, because that includes everything: self-mastery, sovereignty, self-healing. Enough me talking. What does that bring up? Tom, you want to talk?
Yeah. Remembering when I've been in a leadership role, it's been empowering. It's also been one hell of a lot of fun. And to initiate action, that's what I find fun.
Mm-hmm. So
that's really empowering, and there's a lot of energy in that. Just feels good.
mm-hmm. So can you give us an idea from your experiences as a leader, how to cultivate action and enthusiasm and joy with your team members?
Well, it's a case of gathering a group of people who have a similar aim that you've got and galvanizing them to go and do it.
How?
You just ask them. Say, this is the plan. Do you want to come? You know, it's like that. So you have to organize to a certain extent, but if you've got willing participants, then you can have a good team. So it's partly teamwork. They're gathering resources and people for a purpose.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing here is the question again, you know, and as you ask them, is this the plan? You know, do you want to do this? What can you contribute? This is a form of the leader empowering the people that are being led. So it's like there is a responsibility that you are passing on to the people to make them feel needed, to make them feel appreciated, to actually, this enthusiasm can be sparked by cultivating the knowingness in the people by actually asking them, what is it that you know? Mm-hmm. So many managers come in, I'm going to tell you what to do, and this is how it's been done, and shut the fuck up. This is not empowerment. This is not leadership in the 21st century, where we all heading towards self-mastery, self-healing, and sovereignty. Because any self-healed master is not going to remain in a team where somebody plays the hierarchical tyrant, right? It's just not going to work. And Tom, I mean, see if you agree with me on this one or not agree. You get the best out of people when you give them their responsibilities clearly defined.
Sure enough. You give them the opportunity to take action as well and get involved in the way that they want.
And when you then, going back to everything is in relationship, when you have built that relationship, again, with your people, and it doesn't have to be in a corporate setting, it could be in anything, a teamwork, anything, family, then, you know, there is a trust that gets developed. And then people will not feel that they can't come to you and ask questions, or come to somebody else and ask questions, because there is no hierarchy, there is no competition. All of that are those little words, or big words really, that lead us back to self-mastery and self-healing, because so many, this is where the self-healing comes in. Because leadership can very often fail because of the rejection issues that we've had growing up and all of that, all the emotional crap. In the years before, I used to do breakthrough sessions, you know, with regards to, again, self-development, leadership, self-leadership and everything. And I had people come to my house for 3 days, and all the tools and techniques, that modalities that I had practiced and that worked for me, I used with them over the 3 days. So we did emotional tracking and releasing through timeline therapy, hypnotherapy, physical application, you know, reframing, the whole thing. Why am I saying this now? I don't know. It's all part of that self-healing, that self-mastery. And once we get this, for me, once you get to that place, everything else, and it's a continuous application. We appreciate that. It's a continuous application, because as we raise our levels of awareness, more will come in. And then we go beyond this hologram. We go and tap into all the other holograms at the same time. Having said all that, once that happens, we start connecting to the mystical. And the magic starts happening in the normal, ordinary action and non-action, just by being and yes, doing, but nothing is an effort. It becomes effortless. It becomes ease. That doesn't mean it's easy. You still have to work, you know, but it's no longer that hardship. It's that leadership leads to an ease, to a trust, to connection. Questions, anything up, you know, I don't want to talk too much. What comes up for you guys? Any more experiences about leadership?
Well, I was thinking as you guys were talking there that a leader or leadership is someone who works from his highest sense of right. And something that a leader would do would, when a leader is in a predicament in some situation, would stop and ponder what should be the next action that he or she should take going forward. And while doing that cause no harm to another person or any sentient kind, and as well as showing a love and compassion towards those around him or her, you know. And so a leader is someone who would ponder and think about everything that is happening before he or she takes an action to bring out the best result, and as I said, without causing harm to another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Lana. Would you also guys say that a leader has to be willing to fail?
Yes, of course. Yes.
A leader has to be willing to make mistakes.
Well, that's where flexibility of a leader comes in. You were talking about before, being flexible.
Yeah.
So yeah, we fail, but we get up and we go again.
Mm-hmm.
We try something, a different approach.
Exactly.
Yes.
Choosing a
Because remember,
different possibility. Absolutely.
we've been recycled here so many times already. We've done these different things over and over and over. So it's within our DNA memory. And sometimes we just repeat the past without taking a new action or think about doing something brand new, you know, going forward there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how does that sit with anyone if you think about it for yourself as the leader within you on a personal level? Is there anything that stands out that makes you feel uneasy to be that leader that you could truly be, actually?
Intimidation from others, such as a bully or someone who is not very kind that's around you all the time, you know.
Bully, yeah.
You could be intimidated by that person.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard a voice within me saying, you can't be a leader because I'm not ready for your leadership.
And what is the voice saying? Ask the voice. What is it? Why is that? For what purpose is the voice saying that?
For what purpose? I think to show me that I can be stubborn regardless of whether other people are ready or not. I see you, boys, but I'm on the sailboat.
Mm-hmm.
And also the sailboat has an ego. an eagle flying over. And the waters know the way. The water has memory, and it really knows the way.
Mm-hmm.
If I work with the wind and the sun and my internal compass, the path is already marked, really.
So the voice that just came in there, is this a familiar voice?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm so glad to say it now. It was 2 years ago, it wasn't as familiar. I identified with it before.
Yeah. So, and you know what to do with that voice.
We'll see.
Whenever that voice comes in, you just send it back and say, thank you very much for your contribution, but I probably won't need you anymore.
Adios.
Until it doesn't come back anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all in the acknowledgement, the awareness. Awareness is change. Yeah. Any other voices out there that's saying things? You're not good enough. You're not this. You're not that. Amy.
Yeah.
Amy and then Tanya.
Okay. So it's funny because yesterday I had this intensity in my leg. Okay. And I asked, what is this intensity? And what, and the 3 words it said was participate in life. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that could be that, like, really goes with what today is being a leader. I need to participate, be a leader. So I've been thinking about it, over and over. That's just giving me chills now, because that's exactly my message.
So let's see if we can.
To be a leader is I need to
I
participate.
haven't forgotten about you, Tanya. Let's just let's play with that for a little bit. Participate in life, because that works for all of us. Yeah. What does it mean? Because you see, it sounds good, like I love you, and what does it mean? Let's break it down. What does participation in life mean to you?
I think to me it means to be a balance of, human, like do human things and go out and do things. And then I had that spiritual, whatever you want to call it, that word where I go out and just do that. So participate, come back. It's like a string pulling me back, come back in.
Right.
And participate what's going on here.
Right.
And have fun.
Right. So it's that finding the spirituality in the ordinary moment, action, non-action. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Now, what you can do with this,
Because
and we all can do this, because we all, I mean, I can certainly relate to that too. Get yourself, write in your journal, what does participating in life really mean? Make it real. Write it down. How do you bring the spirituality into the ordinary moment? What does it look like? Whatever that looks like for you. Write it down, because as soon as you write it down, you bring it through the body and you start already actualizing it. And this is then how the universe can participate, then can actually start contributing to you.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank
that.
you. I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Tanya, sorry, I've had you waiting.
I can't remember what I was going to say, but I think it was interesting you mentioned, working with micromanagement and just thinking about, being in a leadership position with, and kind of like that middle management where you have direct reports and also people managing you. And I think it's a really frustrating, difficult position to be in when your manager or leader is a micromanager, right? Because there's not an allowance of, or the ability maybe to see your strengths for what they are, right? And so then it's hard to feel empowered. It's hard to feel inspired. Yeah. And, just thinking about the situations that I've been in like that, I work for myself now. So, but I like also this idea of participating in life. It's one of my favorite things to do, to, just as, just going out and being present with whatever's going on, whether it be someone passing on the street as I'm walking my dog, or, someone standing right next to you in the grocery store. Like, do you go like this? Or do you say, hey, what's up? We're having a shared experience here. We're standing 3 feet away from each other, right? Do you like participate with that person in their energetics, or, help them raise their frequency, right? And I think as spiritual leaders, that's part of who we are, right? Because we do hold a higher frequency than, people who aren't awake, maybe.
Yeah. Like you say, the word leadership is just the word until you put your experience to it. Without the experience, it's just a word. It means nothing. And sometimes, as we often talk about, the words are so convoluted and so misidentified and misunderstood that we just have to figure out ourselves. We just have to explore. And that's why this is all what we do. We are exploring the consciousness behind all of that. What does it mean to us? That's one of those questions. What does it actually mean to you? And even if 20 other people say, this is what it means to me, and it doesn't feel light enough and right for you, well, then it probably isn't. It probably isn't. So leadership, self-mastery, you can't fit in a box. That doesn't mean that you can jump in and jump out. Yeah. You can't have resistance against the box. It's like, oh, this is a box. Great. Do I need to do something in there? Can I be a contribution? Can anyone in that box be a contribution to me? And then just use your awareness when you need to jump back out again, And this is preparation for what is yet to come, because we are supposed to be universal citizens, right? Using our bodies to decrystallize, literally to go onto other planets, right? That's the bigger picture of all of that. So we have to have that leadership within us. We have to have that drive, that enthusiasm, that knowingness, that trust, that all of that comes with that leadership to become the contribution.
So I was just thinking, Martina, the leader, as when you're talking here, is really our consciousness. That's the leader, and our ship, the ship part, is really our skin suit technology.
Yeah, you could look at it.
So we get into our skin suit technology, and then we move around, or we fly around, or whatever.
Absolutely,
So
I love that.
We walk around, we sail around, we travel on a train or a plane or a bus or whatever. It's still movement, so we're moving in our ship all the time. And so the consciousness is really the leader. And we've already done everything in the universe. We've come here as the best of the best of the best, as Andrew would say, because we've accomplished so much. And he's also said not anyone can get in here right now. You've had to have accomplished all that already to be in this reality. So we're really blessed as leaders. So we're all leaders despite what we think of ourselves. We're still leaders because we made it in here, into this reality, on this timeline. And we've made it past the other 4 paradoxes. We're on the 5th one. So we are flying in our ships together.
So that's a collective, yes.
Yeah.
I really like what you just said with connecting it back to leader consciousness and body. And because ship, we just played with because of the ship, but as you said, it could be anything. It could be a car, it could be a bicycle, it could be you walking and all of that. And it's almost like then also looking at bringing it together, because the body brings in, as well, the consciousness, because remember we have in the body the 20%, the harmony, the frequency, the vibration, which is our, universe laws, if you want to look at it from that perspective. And then we got the 13%, the contracts that we have contracted out in the north and the south pole, and our agencies and all the other shards and everything, the soul codes. Now, all of that together makes us the leader. That's the bigger picture, the bigger box we're looking at.
Yes.
And then the apex, we are driving that. We are steering the boat or the ship, or we're flying it, or we're driving the car. We are the ones in charge. As we are connecting to our hubs of interconnectivity, working together, like, Amy said, she's got everything around her, just like Caro, just like you said, Lana, like everyone just working together with everything. That's the hub of interconnectivity again. So it's really beautiful to look at it from that perspective, right?
Yes, this Zoom room is a hub of interconnectivity. Just looking at all of you
Absolutely.
is like bringing our ships together.
Absolutely.
And we're docking in Deep Space Nine here. Your Star Trek.
We are. Now, look,
and we're meeting. We're meeting in this restaurant that Andrew always talks about, where you can buy anything you want, from a million years in the past or a million years into the future. We're all having a coffee from different eras of time.
Exactly.
And your cup is larger than everybody else's cup. So
I know. That's a big challenge. Yeah. I need a challenge, obviously, to keep that one full.
You're probably having coffee from
it's fennel tea, actually. Fennel tea. It's not, otherwise I would be falling off my chair. So let's just look beyond all of that. What you just said, Lana, look beyond that now. Let's just look at whatever vehicle, whatever means of transport you're using through the metaphorical representation that makes you the leader. And then just take a look at the unseen for a moment, the hub of interconnectivity, the different charts, parts, and avatars. You are the avatar. You're the I am apex here now. Just
Correct.
Get a sense. Just close your eyes for a moment. Drop everything. You're in this good space here. You are the leader. And then just look now as the leader. You're leading the hub of interconnectivity. Without hierarchy, without competition. It's a co-creation. It's a contribution. All the I ams, in this lifetime, even in others, they're working with you, not against you. There is no fighting. There's no resistance. Having said that, there might be a couple sneaky ones giving us the voice. No, you can't do that. What are you talking about? Well, we'll send them packing. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. There was a reason for you probably around for some time, but you're no longer required. Go back to whence you came from. To never come back to this body, this reality again.
Lose them down the side street.
Yeah. And if they sneak back in, hi, you're here again. Thank you. Off you go. Bye. Lana, you will know some of them need the brick from the purse, and some of them would just say, okay, I thought I could still do it. No, you can't. We are leaders, right? Leaders right. Of our own mode of transport, whatever that is, to keep moving. So what do we need to fuel whatever that mode of transport is? Look at the mode of transport that you have that keeps you moving throughout this consciousness, throughout the sea of consciousness.
I guess that's why they call it boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
You get in your boots, your mode of transportation is your boots. And you're moving along in your fancy boots.
And sometimes we have kinky boots.
That's right.
Theater reference. But yeah, I like that reference of different boots, because we do put on different boots for different ways of life. You
There's
know,
a song about something about boots, these boots were made for
for
walking.
walking.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
fun song.
Walking, and that's just
Yeah.
what I'll do.
That's
Exactly.
right, Tanya.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all
Walk
over.
all over you.
Here we
Yeah.
go. That's the spirit.
Yes.
That's the spirit.
The leader will walk all over his or her ship. And can
The one thing
change out your boots too, right, Amy? You can wear your
Yes.
kinky boots
Yes,
whenever you want,
exactly.
depending on which room
Kinky
your
boots.
ship you goes to.
That's
Absolutely. It's all about variety, right? Bring in as much variety as possible.
The spice of life.
Spice of life. Now, what did you say? Participating in life. That's it. Variety, different spices, different modalities, different, this and that, changing stuff around, changing I don't know, the couch in your room and everything, whatever that is, just to get rid of the stagnant energy, to keep you moving, because this is just what energy does. Energy has to move. It's not stagnant. It transforms. It never disappears. It's always there.
Yeah, and that brings in the Freewheel Universe. So if we're in our ship and we're moving through the universe, being that the universe is a freewheel universe, we're free to go anywhere with our ship. And so we have that freedom to do that, specifically in our consciousness. Because we can think and we can create in our consciousness freely without anyone stopping us there. There's no toll booths to stop us in our consciousness.
So you're talking about imagination, yeah?
Well, you got to imagine where you want to go in your ship.
Mm-hmm. So can we say that having a vision would be useful for a leader?
Correct, yes.
a clear vision, clear, not through rose-colored glasses.
Mm-hmm. And so what if just the energy of that vision, because sometimes what we do, goal setting, I used to do goal setting with people, and the old way of goal setting was quite, I want this red car and I want it on the 22nd December 2019 and all that. That's really changing now. So we're talking about leadership, leading ourselves, self-mastery in the 21st century. Things are changing because our awareness levels are changing. The density of light in our bodies are changing. So we're starting to think multidimensionally, much more multidimensionally. So the vision, okay, let's do something here. Think of a vision, think of something. And even if it's just the energy, all right? Or if you want to think of something particularly that you've always been wanting to work towards, then think of that. Now we do a little timeline thing here, if I still remember that. So close your eyes for a moment and just bring up that energy. I just call it energy. If you got whatever you got, bring up that energy. And then we're going to use the 6 senses here, the 5 senses. Start off with the 5 senses. Start feeling what that energy is like, that vision of yours that you want to actualize into this reality at some stage, sooner or later. So again, this is a metaphorical idea here. So get up the picture. If you can't get pictures up, don't worry about it. Just go with the feeling here. Now, see if you can perceive any tastes that are attached to that. And you're really in that picture. I call it the picture. So you're really in, you are that at the moment, okay? You're going to see it, you're going to feel it, you're going to taste it. You're going to hear it. Are there any sounds attached to it? Any tastes? Where do you, can you feel it in your mouth? Is the saliva coming? The feeling, where in the body are you feeling it? So you're really, really associated with that energy, with that vision of the future. right here, right now. And then what I want you to do, I want you to dissociate, put a frame around that picture, step out of that picture and look at it. So you're looking at yourself now. If you have been in that vision, put a frame around that picture, that energy, even if it's just a spiral, whatever it is. And then what I want you to do, I want you to pretend, imagine that you're floating up with your body. You're not floating out of the body. You're floating up with your body from wherever you're standing. And then just as you look down, there's a timeline underneath you. There's a past and a future. Now just have a look. Where's the future? Is the future in the front or is it in the past? Is it to the left, to the right? Just look where the future is. And everyone has a different timeline. So as you're floating above the now in your body with your picture in your hand, where's the future? Get clarity on that. And then just for fun, pick a time in the future when you want this picture to actualize, this vision to come into fruition. And then as you have this picture, you travel into the future to that particular time when you desire that to happen. And you drop that picture down. Just drop the picture down onto the timeline, into the future, that particular time that you've been wanting that to actualize. And it's just going to settle on the timeline there. And then you just turn around, you float back. Imagine you're floating back into the now. And you come back into the now, sitting where you're sitting right now. Good. Good. And that's how we can put a vision, an energy, an idea into the future. And then see what happens. How was that for you guys? That's using your imagination. Did that enliven you a little bit? Enliven, is that a word? Energize you? You can.
It did for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, because I haven't been a leader in my own ship because I've been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and doubts and all this. And it's all about my creativity that I have inside that needs to come out. And I have everything that I need for it to come out. So it's like I put that timeline. It's like near future. It's not even now. So thank you for that, because I dropped it.
You're most welcome. Now just look at that. Close your eyes again, because you can do this at any moment. You know, we are back and forth, up and down. Just look at that now, where that picture where you dropped it in there, and then just, you know, acknowledge how everything is going to fall into place. It's almost like you can see the blocks falling into place, whatever, you know, contributions need to come in order to make that vision, that, you know, goal, if you want to call it that, happen. It's all falling into place. And I'm not saying there's nothing you need to do, but it's almost like with having put it in there now, it's almost like there will be a prompting. There will be synchronicities that are coming towards you. Like, oh, where does that come from? Oh, okay. And then just see what happens. To be honest, I have used that. That got me out of my corporate in 2008. And I thought it was just bullshit. I thought it's never going to work. And one day I sat at the computer and I started writing my resignation. I'm thinking, what are you doing? And it almost like it was writing itself. And that's it. Yeah. Being the leader.
I experience vibrational clarity. prior to the exercise, I was having mental clarity, and after the exercise, I could feel it in all of me. And I have a date, guys. It's November 11th. Who thought?
So we're going to put you, we want to know. We want to know
Mm.
if that, you know, once it's all happening.
Oh,
Fantastic.
I'm getting.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Great stuff. Now, there is no difference between imagination and reality, right? It's just, you know, we have to imagine it. We have to make it up for it to happen. Now, be prepared always, 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 always that if you've gone a bit more into detail with it, be prepared for it to be much better than you've ever imagined it, right? So whenever you do that type of stuff, is always add and beyond whatever I have considered possible. Keep it open. Keep it open. Don't get stuck on the exact, you know, timing and everything. Just stick to the energy. And then also there's another thing. Yeah, magic in motion. Yeah, imagination. There's another thing is then as you incorporate that energy, things that come to you by synchronicities that, you know, catapult you into action, look at if that energy matches that, right? Don't get hung up of, oh, this is never gonna get me that date when I do that. If the energy matches, trust it. It may not look like the way you think it should look like, okay? Don't go into conclusion. Conclusion kills everything. Because conclusion is a judgment. It limits everything. That's when the question comes back in. As soon as you go into conclusion, oh, this hasn't happened yet. Okay, what else is possible here? What have I not considered yet? What do I know that I haven't acknowledged yet? Universe, come on. Where's my contribution?
So
Lily,
Martina,
yes.
so when I was imagining, so when you were saying which is the past and which is the future,
Yeah.
I saw the past as the east and the future as the west, as the black stone doorway, and the picture dropped in about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the earth was becoming like springtime. Everything around the whole world was getting greener, you know, like freshness all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the borders all around the world were just kind of phasing out and disappearing. And there was just local bubbles of reality instead of countries, you know, what we would call countries right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this was what was I was perceiving in about 2 years' time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're traveling west, which is going into the future,
Mm-hmm.
and the earth is coming alive, and things that we know right now on the domination and control as borders and so on and so forth are just kind of dissipating, and the local bubbles of reality are in existence. And we have like flying cars and things like that, which is already in the potential. And I know people are creating those things all around
Mm-hmm.
the world, different places. So this is what my perception of the future is.
Mm-hmm.
The past is gone, and you know, it's there in, you know, its own bubble of time. But the future seems more pleasant, more joyful, more happiness. it's something that we're working towards, you know, objectifying the fifth world of peace coming into reality for everyone. And that's what I kind of perceive happening there.
Very cool. Very cool. Exciting.
Yeah.
Exciting. And
Now
and
we have to create that.
well, this is where we go back to the individual journey. You said earlier on that everyone that is here has the capacity to step into the master, into the, you know, the mastery. Not everyone is going to choose it. Okay, so this is something we really need to acknowledge, to almost detach from the collective consciousness, because the collective consciousness is actually the global narrative. The collective consciousness is the limitation here. We need to go beyond the collective consciousness. And, you know, what we've just done, it's almost like, this is my bubble of reality. And if nobody else, as the real leader, if nobody else chooses that, this is what's going to work for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you lead by example, you will have others who say, oh, well, oh, wow, what is she choosing? Oh my God, I want that too. But not every single one in this galactic ascension machine is actually here to choose the self-mastery this lifetime. Okay. There is a very small percentage who is choosing universal citizenship within this lifetime, right?
Yes.
So we need to just keep that in mind, that it's okay, whatever they're choosing. This is where the trust, the leadership comes in. There will be people, you know, would come onto our Zoom, have no idea what we're talking about. They think we're complete idiots and, you know, out there and don't know what we're saying and all of that. And that is absolutely fine. That is absolutely fine.
And that's their bubble of reality. This is our bubble of reality.
There will be many different bubbles of reality. Yes.
And we are creating our bubble of reality, trying to make it a larger bubble. So eventually the bubble is seen and not just heard. It's objectified to the point where others will be attracted to it, because the frequency is an attraction for others to engage with and learn. And then the leaders in this bubble of reality will teach those that are attracted to the bubble.
Exactly.
Yes.
Leading by example. Yes.
Yes.
Leading by emanating, not emulating, emanating that signature frequency teaching.
Correct. Yes.
By standing in our potency, in our joy, in our gratitude, in our compassion, without attachment to what other people are choosing, be that in our family, be that in our, you know, and it can happen any moment. This separation of density is kicking out. And also remind ourselves, if we go through the separation of density like we do at the moment, it's quite obvious when people just disappear. They might be coming back. I have people I haven't spoken to for years. I thought, oh, I lost those guys. All of a sudden, we're talking like, oh, interesting. You know, just because we're not sharing the bubble doesn't mean that we're not evolving. Some will go, some will move on. But I'm quite positive that lots of people will come back again. And
yeah, they just took a rest stop. They're at a rest stop right now.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
They're getting a bag of GMO chips and some Coca-Cola or something, and then they'll hop back on the the train.
That's right. Our vortex is getting bigger. Yes. Suck the man. Or not.
It may look small to us right now, but it's actually growing. You know, the frequency is building all the time.
Yeah, and also my particular I wouldn't want to call it challenge, but my thing is really to not just think seen world. Right. Allow the unseen into your bubble, you know, because these are the possibilities opportunities we have now. This is why we're interested in galactic history. This is why we're starting to understand the timeline paradox and all of that, the celestial medium. And again, you've heard Andrew say not everyone is on this celestial medium journey. Yeah.
Correct. They haven't even heard of him yet. So imagine that.
And that's absolutely fine. And it's not even the celestial medium of peace one. It's just the celestial medium itself. There's so many stages, without hierarchy, just levels of awareness,
And that brings us back to self-mastery. If you haven't started this journey a long time ago, you can't just jump right into it and understand what Andrew is saying. It's it's a journey that's a long journey. It's really played out, and you have to come day by day, step by step, to get on this journey and to stay with it, not just hop in and hop out.
To stay with it, Lana, you're absolutely right. That is the commitment journey.
Yeah.
To not fall asleep again. But that can also be a joyful journey. For me, it's definitely a joyful journey. I certainly, this is my joy. This is my kind of fun. But then again, we have to look at, like, we're looking at leadership. What does it mean? What does fun mean to you guys? Fun is that me talking to you guys. That's fun. Now I'm awake. I was asleep before I went on, but now I'm like, hey, let's do this. You know what I mean? That gets me, that sparks me, fires me up when I speak to like-minded people.
Yeah, and when you do leadership, it's really you're at the same time practicing your self-mastery, because you're getting better and better at what you're doing.
Yeah.
And when you're sticking with it, you're not just like hopping in and then hop back out and come back in and go listen to somebody else talk rubbish and then come back in, and then you got to undo all that rubbish you just heard to get back on track again.
Absolutely.
It's a challenge.
It's a
challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's an allowance. There comes the allowance of allowing it to change. It's never going to look the same. I work in 3-year cycles. Always worked in 3-year cycles. I only realized it once I started writing down my calendar magic. What's happening? Oh, I'm coming to the end of a 3-year cycle again. I'm like, okay, interesting. And it's so interesting. It's now all falling together with, what's happening in the astrology and everything. But there's something else coming in for me, which I don't know yet. There's an energy. I can perceive the energy, excites me very much. It's very, very different. Don't know yet what it looks like, because it is something that I have not experienced before. No, that's not true. I have experienced it, but I can't really tap into it. I can't really actualize that memory yet. I know it's a memory almost, but it's too clustered yet. So I'm not worried about that. I'm just going to look at it. I know this is going to happen, So this again means to look at, for instance, we're starting our own businesses. Like anything you create needs to be out created all the time. If you have your own business, it needs to be out created, because it will get to a stage where you get like, oh, this is getting boring. The business gets boring, you get bored with your clients or whatever you're doing, and then in this narrative, you have to make it work, right? Because you started this business and you have to make it work. Well, not necessarily. You got to have a level of awareness and ask a question. What other possibilities are there? How does the business want to change? A true leader looks at what is, not at what's supposed to be or should be or can be. It's like, okay, so we've been together now for how many years, right? Same for relationships, for anything really. And so how does that need to change for both of us to continue or step into the leadership roles? Again, there's the movement, the allowance. And then the big thing, of course, is receiving. If you can receive anything, everything, without a fixed, conclusive point of view, you can make true choices. But if, as soon as you say, oh, no, I can't shut my business down, I can't change now, I've been a personal development, now all of a sudden I'm an alien communicator, I'm going to do that. Well, if that's what comes in, or maybe that's what I have to do since I'm saying it. Interesting. So anyway, you know, you got to do it. Even if you're going to be perceived like, what the hell is wrong with her now? Well, if that's what comes through, then that's what you're going to do. So that, you know, detachment without creating separation. That's what I call having your boundaries, your healthy boundaries fortified. Not a separation. Boundaries are not separations. Very different than having your walls up. Look at the energy yourself. Somebody asked that question, what's a wall, what's a boundary? That's just for me. Call it what you want. Maybe the wall is for you, the boundary is not. What is it for you? Sorry, I need to sneeze again, guys. Keep talking.
Bless you.
So what else we got? How are we doing in terms of time? This has been okay, no? I'm quite enjoying this conversation. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Yeah, this is
Good.
great. I love it.
Good leadership. Authenticity, that was the picture because I found my t-shirt. I thought I'd put that on.
I like the ship and the boots and the, you know, everything that goes along with that.
And be really be open to really look at what your metaphor is. Not everyone likes the water, okay? Not everyone has a ship, but you already got the flying ship, right? But some people like to be more grounded on ground. They might like driving. I like driving. Everything, my business is a vehicle. I see my business as a vehicle. A nice, cool car where I can get in and out. I got my briefcase, and sometimes I don't even need the car, you know? But so just really look at that, honor your metaphor, because it's very, very strong. This is going to stay with you for a long time and allow it to change. Every time you go into this leadership, you know, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be. Look at the ship, look at the boat, look at the Star Trek, you know, and see what's happening in the metaphor, and change the metaphor. Yeah, change the.
But you also got to keep your ship in shape.
Keep the ship in shape, yeah.
So the ship can keep on sailing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I was also thinking for a moment here, you're talking about boundaries. A leader, a good leader does have his or her boundaries in place, but not walls. Because if a leader doesn't have boundaries in place, then creepy crawly things can step over that line. And so a leader would not tolerate that. A good leader.
Well, also, you know, a leader has to make choices, tough choices at times for the greater good, and not everyone, you know, who is reporting to the leader, or his, you know, or even for yourself. Sometimes you think you have to hurt people, right? Or people will hurt. I don't know. Some people feel hurt, but there's nothing you can do about it, whatever they feel like, when you do something that you have to do in order to remain your leadership, right? So you have
Those are kind of weak ships. The weak ship gets hurt.
Weak crews, yeah. And then of course you got the jealousy going on. When you see Lana is like driving this bloody Star Trek. Why is she driving that and I'm not? You know, how much of that? And you have to be tough and say, well, piss off. What am I supposed to do? You can come on the ship or get your own ship. I show you how to do it, but you got to pay me for it. You know, you got to get, you know, the compassion doesn't mean that you're a doormat for people. Yeah.
Or my ship is bigger than your ship.
I know. Yeah. So a lot of that, the projections, you have to, you know, we're talking about the unseen here. Yes, all the shards, parts, and avatars, but there's so many projections out there. Yeah. people projecting at you, and you're like, oh, I'm feeling weird, you know, and there's a projection. Who's this bitch? What do you think she is talking about? Spirituality, la la la, that type of stuff. Well, send them back to sender with consciousness attached. Again, X is consciousness. I give credit to what I've learned. Yeah.
So now I was thinking about the crew on the ship.
Yeah.
So who is the crew on your ship? It's your precognitive workforce. Creating the synchronicities for you.
Absolutely. It's the people in your life now too, if they so choose to share that experience with you. Right?
Well, I was thinking of the precognitive workforce in the unseen world.
Yeah.
That's working to help create synchronicities.
Totally.
Because, as Andrew would say, the universe is not working against you. The universe is working with you. So if you engage your crew in the best way possible that you can, then your crew will obviously work with you in the best way to create the synchronicities. So your ship doesn't encounter asteroids or space debris, you know, space junk. So you don't get hurt.
Yeah.
And you don't constantly have to have your shields up, you know.
Exactly.
Because you got a good crew working with you, maintaining your ship at all times. And then you, boots on the ground, you're maintaining your skin suit technology ship here, inside and out. So it all seems to work out together for the highest good.
Absolutely. And then we got Alfredo saying some crew members get scared in the rough waters. Well, are you willing to lose those, Alfredo? You either have to put them on notice and say, guys, you know, step up, self-mastery. Give them option 1, option 2, option 3, you're out. It sounds harsh, but
a good leader will show compassion to the crew as well.
Well, that is compassion.
Well, not to kick them out with your boots.
Well, Lana, they're in a place where they're not feeling comfortable. They're obviously not ready. You're doing
True. There are some of them like that. Yes, I agree.
That's why option 1, give them an opportunity to get to the place where they don't feel that. Option 2 is move on.
Yeah, it's probably not the right ship for you.
It's probably not the right ship. And this is the thing, you know, we hold on to people, particularly in relationships, a lot, where we're thinking, it's okay, I can't, compassion on all of that. But you're not doing them a favor because you're constantly in judgment of them. They're constantly in judgment of you. There's the incarceration back and forth. It's not going to work.
Right,
They're much better off with somebody else on a different, well, whatever that is, and for yourself too. That's part of the boundary fortification. Know what is true for you, and you don't say that in a nasty way. Don't kick their ass or anything, but you have the conversation. But it's not your responsibility. This is what people need to understand. It's an individual journey, and this has nothing to do with being selfish. That's unfortunately what this global narrative, you know, projects onto you, that you're selfish if you're not taking all the hanger-oners with you. And that's where the empathy comes in. That's where we need to really acknowledge that just because you're perceiving other people's thoughts, beliefs, emotions, fears, anxieties, doesn't mean that you take them on. First of all, you can't make them your own. Because very often you think, oh, it's you're believing that, you're thinking that, you're feeling that. And in reality, you're just taking on the projections of others. Or you start feeling sorry for them, which is actually, I would almost say, patronizing. Because we don't know what contracts other people have. Sometimes we drag them with us, but their contract is not that. They actually have to experience failure. They actually have to, not failure is not a good one, but they have to experience whatever experience
they have to experience.
And it's, you know, dark night of the soul is not easy to witness.
And that's something we're understanding now too, is that everyone has a contract of their own. And what we're learning now is that we should not step on other people's journey.
That's the phrase, isn't it? We can't step on other
Yeah.
people's journeys under the umbrella of we are the saviors. We're not fucking saviors
Yeah.
here. We are leaders of our own making. We have to save ourselves.
Martina, yeah. What you were just saying was like, oh my God, this is part of my remembering. Like you guys are helping me remember that what I came here for. I always thought it was not for individuality, not because, you know, we're here on our own. No, I never. So this is, I'm excited. So this is like part of my remembering right now as you guys are talking. This is what I need.
Well, absolutely. And think of the picture. I'll give you a picture here. Think of a puzzle, right? Every single one of us is a specific puzzle. Anyone who's done a puzzle who's trying to take one, and just because it looks slightly the same, you know, and you, come on, get in there now, you know, it's not going to work. And the puzzle will never finish if you do that, because that particular puzzle piece is missing over there, man. Not where you're trying to squeeze it in. So
yeah, so moving forward, it's like, how do I mean, this is just exciting to me. Like you, I have no idea what this is right now that I'm feeling, but it's like leaving all that I've learned since I was born till now. It's like, whoa, I'm not sure what this means for me right now, but thank you guys.
Yeah. I don't know when I did that. Hold on a second. I wrote this leadership, equestrian leadership. Has anyone seen that?
No.
I think I posted
No,
it.
I don't think so.
Friends for Family, Bartsy's Friends. Look at that, equine leadership. I wrote that, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And I got it here. It's too long to read now because we're almost getting to the end here. But there was one thing. Hold on, I'm just looking at this. It is in, I will clearing of conditioning, yeah? The four C's of equine leadership is clearing of conditioning, identifying the problem, yeah? Who or what is depleting your life force, who or what keeps you fenced in, all of that. The second one is well, that's just what I made up. I'm not saying this is set in stone, obviously. Clarity of contribution. Questions create awareness. The third one is communication, authentically expressing yourself. And the fourth one is actually celebration. We often forget the celebration and how expansive the celebration is of the little victories, every little victory. Yeah. Write it down, celebrate it, whichever way you want to celebrate it. We all have different ways of celebration. So I will post that equine. I thought if we had nothing else to talk about, we could do it, but obviously nothing else to talk about. Of course we have, right? So I'm going to, if you guys are all part of the Earth Nouveau, I'm going to put it into the Earth Nouveau, and you can take it from there and see what you make of it, you know. And we'll take it from there. So before we close down here, in celebration, in gratitude, in clarity of our purpose, and God knows what else, is there anything you guys want to say?
I just wanted to say I really like this analogy of the puzzle piece, right? Trying to fit the puzzle piece that doesn't fit. And we've all done it, right? We've all listened to the global narrative and said, oh, this is what it means to be a human, someone's daughter, someone's, friend, someone's lover, someone's parent, someone's spouse, right? This is the little, piece that I'm supposed to fit into. But we're all unique shaped puzzle pieces. We all have our individual path and purpose, and I think being here and being able to be seen by all of you and acknowledge that we are here in this collective spirit, you know, and sharing and learning from each other. It's just a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Yeah. And you know what makes me think, you know, anyone who's had a child or has a child in this reality now, you know, who can relate to the experience or, you know, knows any other, this is, we so often do that with our children, right? You're supposed to be that, right? Be that in our education or the way you should be dressing or the way you should be behaving, because you're part of this family. So I need you, that puzzle piece has to be right here with me, right? So fit in there now. And then the child is like, fuck you, this isn't gonna work and all that, because it actually should be there. And this is why sometimes, you know, people have to leave their families because it's too restrictive. Some people have to have walk-ins, you know, stuff like that, because it's just not going to work. I can't fit. And even they try, it's not going to work. And in the process of trying, they lose their awareness. They lose their, I don't want to call it identity because that's limiting for me, their awareness, who they really are. So the biggest thing you can do to anyone, be it now your child, your partner, your business partner, as a true potent leader, is allow them to know what they know. What is it that you know? And it doesn't matter. The child can be 2 months old. No, 2 months is a bit, you know, too much. But as soon as they can talk, what is it that you know? And also, what does that do? If you have somebody you're having an argument with, you know, and they, what is it that you know? You're taking that ball and passing it back to them. What is it that you know? Because so many people just want to agree, or what's the opposite of agreeing? They want to fight with you, right? They want to disagree. They want to have this. So as soon as you ask the question, you take all of that out of the equation. And you know, at some stage in the beginning, you might not really be interested in what they really know, because you already know you're psychic anyway and all that. But you just pretend and say, what is it that you really know? And then sometimes, as you get to that level of self-mastery and leadership, you actually get to a stage where it's really interesting what other people know, how other people think. And you can be honoring and compassionate, if you like that word. It's like, wow, that's amazing. I would have never thought of that, or that doesn't work for me. You can say that to yourself or to even them, doesn't work for me. But I totally honor, witness, respect where you at. Because
One of the things, Martina, that I was thinking about as you're talking is that these babies or your kids or whatever, they're not young souls. They're ancient souls. Because in order to be here currently in our reality, you've had to have been living an extremely long time in this universe to be here. So they have so much experience already in the universe, and coming in, and just to look at them as a baby that they don't have any experience or anything like that is not right. It's not true about them. um, so when you were saying just ask them, metaphorically, what do you know,
yeah,
is they're probably an older soul than you are to
yeah,
begin with. So that's something that when we look at others or younger kids or whatever, we have to remind ourselves now, and think in a new way, that this soul is an ancient soul. What do they know? Why am I trying to override what they're saying to me or thinking or sharing their view, you know, with me? So that's something for us to think about now when we're looking at our kids or our neighbors' kids or our family's
yeah.
kids or something like that.
And
I
that
just
doesn't,
wanted to share that.
no, thank you, Lana. And you know, that doesn't take away that, you know, sometimes we are here to guide them. Yeah, that is our job as parents too, you know.
Yes.
But what if we could do it in co-creation instead of so many times competition? So it's amazing how many parents actually compete with their children, you know, and stuff like that. And for me, it's interesting, and I probably have done this myself as well, you know, and things
Yeah.
like that. Now, that's actually, I need to share something with you. I want to give you something else here. Yeah, I was talking about emotion tracker and release, because we're talking about this now in terms of, I'm a big fan, always was, and it hasn't changed over the years. Whatever I have learned and added to my toolbox is the mirror principle. It's always useful to look at it. Yeah, that doesn't take away that this is not something we use to project onto others. This is not something to judge ourselves. This is purely a tool that we can use to really explore emotional triggers that we have, right? So let me just see where I've got, because I have put that out. I've got a template, and again, I can put that on. I'm going to share that with you guys just to give you an example of what you can use. Yeah. So let's say, for instance, let me share that screen here. Share. That one. Good. Can you see all that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's I used to use that. It's nice to use my old tools, actually. I haven't used them for such a long time. Okay, so looking into the mirror of relationships, and remind yourself, I'm not just talking intimate relationship, a relationship with anything. Could be the cat, could be your husband, could be your child, anything. So as an example I've given, so the trait, if you look at the trait, let's say you get triggered by something, yeah, in a positive way. Yeah, you really like something in another person. And think of that yourself now. Think of somebody you really like, a trait in them. Yeah, so I've given an example here as considerate. This person is considerate, and this is a trait I most like about that person, right? And then you can ask the question, so where do I see this trait in myself? In this particular example is I'm considerate because I'm helping other people, right? Good. Now, the next question is, am I missing this trait? And how could that benefit me? So when you see something and it triggers you, like, oh, this is really cool, and you get this, oh, I'm not having this. Often when you see something positive in somebody else, which you're over exaggerating as positive, then it's probably that you have it, but you haven't acknowledged it in yourself, right? You're probably very considerate yourself, but you haven't acknowledged it yet. So, and why don't, in this particular case, why you haven't acknowledged it? Because you're overdoing the helping. Just look at this, guys. I'm just getting, I just need to, I'll be back just now, yeah? Look at that for now, and then we have any questions. I need to get that parcel in. Okay, sorry about that. So was that clear now? Am I missing something here? When I like something in somebody else, particularly it's overly accentuated that I like it, then very often we have the trait ourselves, but we haven't actually acknowledged it yet, right? And then what am I missing? Am I missing this trait? And what could I do to benefit myself? If I'd acknowledged that, how would it benefit me? Yeah. So putting yourself first, I would have more energy. Does that make sense? And then what can I do to change this? Take more time for myself, acknowledging that I often entangle with others and not see myself. Where do I feel it in the body? So it's always nice to take it into the body here. You know, feel it in the throat, feel it in my tummy, feel it in my whatever. What emotion am I feeling? And make sure it's an emotion. So in this case, it's frustration. Hold on, Can't mix this. What is the last thing? And how was my physical? Yeah, and once you've done this, how has my physical pain, it was related to a pain, changed after you've actually acknowledged what the trigger is, what you're seeing in somebody else that you haven't acknowledged in yourself, right? Now, it's probably easier, I should have turned it around. It's probably easier to look at it from a negative type. Yeah, so next, I haven't put an example here down, but let's take, does anyone want to do an example with me on the negative? So a trait that you most dislike about a person. Does anybody want to play? Do you know anyone that you have a trait that has a trait that you dislike?
Someone who talks nonstop and doesn't give you a chance to
Non-stop talking.
say,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
Trait or dislike about that person. Good. So now,
Even though the person is a wonderful human being.
oh yeah, no, it's not judgment. There's none of
Yeah.
that. Don't worry about that. This is really an exploration for yourself, and that's Mia, by the way. Hey, Schnucky. So now the question is, where do I see this trait in myself? And it doesn't have to be just the talking. Is there anywhere in yourself, and you don't have to answer this now, but this is just the idea. Is there anywhere in yourself where you're seeing that you're overdoing something? Yeah. Answer that for yourself. You don't have to do this now here. And then you could look at that, because as soon as you then acknowledge that in yourself, you no longer have a reaction to the person who actually does it, because it becomes irrelevant to you. That trigger is just really telling you something about yourself. So don't get hung up about the talking itself. It could be just overdoing it on a different level. Or here we have the other things. Am I denying myself this trait? Would I actually need to speak up a little bit more? And because I don't do it, I get triggered by somebody who does it. And again, personal exploration, right? What can I do to change this? Maybe I should be speaking up a bit more. Maybe I should, back off a little bit with other things. Where in my body do I feel that thought? What emotion is or feeling is attached to that? What am I feeling? What emotion? And then how has the pain or the intensity or the trigger changed? Yeah? That's quite a useful tool. I still use that to today. When I get triggered by somebody, I look at, what is that? Is this something that I am not embracing myself, in myself, that I haven't acknowledged? If it's more the positive or even the negative. And how can I change that? So there's no judgment that comes into this. This is a very useful tool for self-exploration. And if you want, I can put that into the and you can obviously make it your own and change it and do what you want. But that is the mirror principle that could be quite useful. Yeah?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, guys. We've done a good 145 minutes, so that's really cool. I want to just, as usual, much gratitude for you guys for being here, and spread the word.
So we talk nonstop for 1 hour.
Oh, you want to talk nonstop and don't spread the words, then I have to bring you guys on all the time. If you want to talk less, you need to bring some peeps on, right? If you don't want
That's
to
the trait. Talking nonstop.
If you want me to shut up a bit more, you need to bring people in to talk, because that's just right.
It's just a joke.
I know, darling. I know. Fantastic. No, it was really, really cool. I'm gonna put the recording up, and
Thank you.
You can.
Yeah.
Thank you, Martina. It's a good conversation today.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.